The success of the running game, while it is based on the dedication, coordination, and efficiency of all 11 men on the offensive team, is also based, of course, on the ability of the quarterback and his team to take advantage of the weaknesses and the habits of the defensive team they are facing. The success or the failure of one play will set up another. And now I want to discuss a play, the inside belly play, designed to take advantage of defensive tackles who are reading and reacting to guard pulls. The inside belly play is a hard, quick-hitting play with the running back keying the block of the left guard. And now let's go to the computer animation. The inside belly play is designed to take advantage of defensive tackles who are reading and go with the guard when he pulls. It is a hard, quick hitter with the running back keying the block of the left guard. The flanker splits 5 to 7 yards and releases for the strong side safety. The YN drives and cuts off the strong side linebacker over him. The onside tackle releases inside the man over him for the offside safety. The onside guard pulls onside and blocks the man over him or beyond the offensive tackle. The near back drives at the area the right guard vacated to block the defensive tackle over him. He can be either in a brown or a red formation. The center blocks the man over him, either on the line or off the line. The offside guard drives the man over him in the direction he wants to go. This is the key block. The offside tackle drives and cuts off the man over him or the first man to his outside. He must be very careful to make sure that that defensive end does not release inside of him. The offside end drives and cuts off the linebacker over him. The quarterback opens toward the fullback and gives a reverse handoff to the left halfback. The left halfback, the ball carrier, takes a lateral step to his right and drives to the hole. The principle here is to begin the flow one way and then run back against the flow. The runner keys the offside guard's block, going inside or outside as the guard takes the defensive tackle in the direction he wants to go in. Watch now, in this game action, the perfect handoff. And the back, after he reads the block of the left guard, cuts to the outside and runs to daylight. The fullback slant is a weak side smash over the left tackle. The split end comes down the field and makes the decision to take either the weak side corner man or the weak side safety, depending upon which one forces the play. The onside left tackle works with the left halfback as a team, even as the defensive end and outside linebacker work as a team. The onside tackle aims his head at the crotch of the defensive end. If that end moves to the outside, the tackle drives his head through the inside hip of the defensive end and continues upfield to block the linebacker. The left halfback runs a course at the outside hip of the defensive end. That end moves to the outside, the halfback will block him. The halfback's approach and block must have speed and quickness to stop the penetration by either the end or the linebacker, whoever has the outside responsibility. The onside left tackle. If the defensive end comes inside, the tackle, aiming his head at the crotch, will pick up that end. The left halfback, if the defensive end comes inside, the left halfback aims his head at the outside hip of that end, but continues on and takes the linebacker, who now has outside responsibility. The onside left guard and center, they also work as a team. The left guard drives his head through the outside hip of the tackle, continues past him, looks and turns to the inside for the middle linebacker, who is flowing with the play. The center makes an onside cutoff on a tackle over the left guard. On a call by the center, The left guard will drive out and cut off the man over him, and the center's assignment is to cut off the middle linebacker. The offside right guard drives and cuts off the man over him or outside of him. The offside right tackle drives and cuts the man off over him or outside of him. The YN releases inside the man over him for the onside safety or halfback. The flanker releases for the offside safety. The quarterback reverse pivots to the fullback, making the handoff as deep as possible to give the fullback more time to read the halfback's and the left tackle's block. His basic key is the tackle's block. A coaching point here. Often this play will run back to the inside. It runs back to the inside because of the play of the defensive tackle and defensive end. Therefore, it is important that the cutoff blocks by the right guard and right tackle be sustained. The play may, however, break to the outside of the halfback and onside tackle. It is another run-to-daylight play. As we know, one play will establish another. For example, we have just seen the fullback slant. So let's discuss the fullback veer, which is a takeoff on the slant. When the opposition pursues strongly, we start our veer as we do our slant, and then veer back to the inside. If their line is slanting to stop the slant, we counter with this. Again, this is a run-to-daylight play, as we'll see in the computer animation. The fullback veer is a takeoff on the fullback slant. When the opposition pursues strongly, we start our veer as we do our slant and veer it back to the inside. Or if their line is slanting and stopping the slant, we counter with this veer play. The flanker is usually in a near position, 8 to 10 yards out, and he releases for the strong side safety. The YN drives and cuts off the man over him. The right tackle has a very important block. He drives the man over him, the defensive end, or the first man to his outside, and must sustain that block. The right guard drives the man over him in the direction of his charge. The center drives the middle linebacker, who usually keys the fullback. The left guard drives and cuts off the man over him. The left tackle and the left halfback work as a team as they do on the slant. The tackle takes the onside and seals the weak side linebacker. The halfback drives at the inside leg of the tackle and seals to the outside usually. The quarterback reverses to the fullback as on the slant and gives the ball to him as deep as possible. The fullback starts a slant action, takes 2 steps, and drives off the left tackle. He veers back toward the center, keying the block of the right guard. If the right guard drives his man to the outside, the fullback veers directly up the middle. If the right guard has driven his man to the inside, the fullback veers back to the outside. To the outside of the right guard's block and inside the right tackle's block. Again, this is a run-to-daylight play. A coaching point here is an option that the center and the guard has. We call the blocking even, and the center blocks to his right or to the offside. The right guard folds behind the center and blocks the middle linebacker. It is best run, however, with the straightaway odd blocking. Here is a counterplay designed to negate a middle linebacker who has been filling the hole created by a trap on the defensive left end. The middle linebacker is keying a fullback, so we send the fullback opposite. And the middle linebacker goes for the move just long enough to be slow getting to the hole. Here's an influence play that takes advantage of a defensive tackle who chases the guards who pull as they would on a sweep. And the back hits that hole vacated by that tackle. In the category of influence plays, we could consider any play in which the quarterback carries the ball. The quarterback as a passer naturally sets up the quarterback as a runner.
There are various methods. There's a quarterback sneak, which everyone is familiar with, which is usually a simple wedge play with the quarterback sneaking, and usually in very short yardage situations are very difficult to stop for less than a yard. And there's the quarterback draw, which is not used to any great extent. However, very, very effective. Usually lineman or middle linebacker or someone is assigned to stop the draw. It has to be a back usually left in the backfield that the quarterback can draw, delay the ball to, and then run. Now, if you send both backs out, there's a tendency, of course, of everybody to drop back. Now, the quarterback comes back, sets up a little bit shorter, possibly, than he ordinarily does on a pass, and then he draws. In other words, he carries the ball, lets the lineman come in, the linebackers go back, and he carries the ball instead of a back on a draw play. Then, of course, there's the bootleg. Now, the bootleg is usually an option type of run or pass, where the quarterback has an option of either throwing the ball or running the ball, depending upon what the defense does. You can have a weak side bootleg in which the backs fake to the strong side, the quarterback fakes the ball to him, and then sets up either inside the rush or outside the rush. And he keys, possibly, one of the defensive people. If the defensive man rushes, that means he'll throw the ball to an end who's usually running a square-out route or a turn-in route. If this particular linebacker drops, the weak side linebacker drops in this case, and the quarterback, of course, will run the ball. He usually has a blocker who's out in front of him protecting him, or a lead blocker if he decides to run. Here's the quarterback sneak that won a National Football League championship. Here's a bootleg with an option. The quarterback fakes to the halfback, keeps the ball, rolls out to his right. He has the choice of passing or running and decides on the run. The rollout pass, which is another type of quarterback action, is different than the bootleg. In the bootleg, if you remember, the quarterback fakes to the backs and then sets up opposite to the side that the backs fake to. In the rollout, he follows those backs, using the backs as blockers if it's a run all the way, or using the backs as possible receivers. For example, both backs go this way, he faked to this back, and he'll follow them and set up. He'll either set up or continue. But he has the same essential keys as he does on the bootleg. He keys, if the defense goes back, he runs the ball, using his backs as blockers. If the defense forces, he throws the ball, throwing, for example, a route something similar to this. Up to now, we have discussed plays designed to move the ball down the field. Any one of them, of course, may break for a score. But now let's discuss plays that must score, that make up the goal line offense. Football really is two things. It is first getting the ball off your own goal line, and two, getting it across your opponent's goal line. To begin with, the basic goal line defense is the 6-1 as shown here, with the two outside linebackers usually down in 3 points and coming across the line of scrimmage. Now let's take, first of all, a look at the quick trap. The quick trap, which is a lead goal line play, really, is designed to split the two defensive tackles. Like all traps, it is very successful against penetrating defenses. And usually a team who is in a goal line defense, they better penetrate if they want to stop anything. Actually, we asked the center to block back. He's got a real difficult block. There's not much room, as you can see. We asked for a standoff here. And if he can get a standoff, he can do the job. The man who must really make the move, or must really move the defensive man, is the offensive left guard in this case. He's got to have real quick action. He's got to come across flat. He's got to gain ground. And he's got to drive that man and seal that man from coming back into the play. The onside guard on the trap going to the right side releases outside the man that's over him, or the man that's to the inside, and comes across the play to whoever is the weak side linebacker, in this case the safety man. And the reason we like to run it from a red formation, as we have here, although it can be run from a brown, is that usually when we bring the fullback over to this position, the middle linebacker lines up in front of him. And now we ask the fullback to do many things. He can go out here to try to pull him out of here. He can move ahead to try to move this man in here. We actually ignore this man. We don't block him. Here's the dangerous man who is keying the halfback, which in this case is the ball carrier. As he comes in here quick and hard, and he's got to come quick and hard. In fact, we don't care if he cheats up in here. We ask him to cheat. Many times he'll line up right in this area when we call the 41 trap or the quick trap in the huddle. He'll line up right in this area to get in here just as quick as he can. He actually rides the back of the trapping guard. A very important block is this one, who must make the cutoff, the left tackle. He's got to make the cutoff because this man, if he comes in hard, can actually stop the play unless the left tackle makes that cutoff. A very important point here is the action of the quarterback. The quarterback uses what we call a slice pivot. I mean by that he opens right up to the halfback who's coming in here. And he's got to open up wide enough to give the halfback a great deal of room. Many times, for example, this man will close so hard, the defensive tackle will close so hard, the man to be trapped will close so hard because he recognizes trap right now that it's almost impossible for the guard to move him. So the back will move it outside of the block. He'll move outside the trap when that happens. That's why this block is also very important. Now in this game action, watch the center block back and the short trap action of the left guard. The right guard goes through for the middle linebacker. The ball carrier comes directly over the center's position. One year, we made 16 touchdowns with this play. Now let's consider another goal line play designed to take advantage of a linebacker who's coming across real hard. In fact, we invite him across. We call this our onside cross-blocking play. The defensive linebacker in this position, a strong side linebacker, on the snap of the ball on the goal line usually comes across real hard. We ask our YN to take a position, or the same position, as he does take on the sweep. In fact, we want this thing to look like the sweep as best we can. The linebacker also, to him, it looks like a sweep because of the red formation and also because of the split of the YN, as it does to the safety man, who usually tries to rush from the outside with the linebacker taking the inside. As the linebacker comes across, the YN releases behind him and seals on the middle linebacker in this position. The defensive end, the left end, or the defensive end in this case, is coming across over the face of the tackle to close the inside, so the tackle has a comparatively easy block. The onside guard pulls and traps. That's why we call it a cross block. It's a cross block right here, pulls and traps the linebacker who's coming across hard. The center blocks onside. He's got a comparatively easy cutoff because of the closeness of the defensive tackle. Cut off to the inside here and a cut off to the inside here. The fullback comes right at this man, at that linebacker. He puts on as great an act as he can to try to make that linebacker think that he's going to take him in, and then releases for the halfback in this particular case. The safety man, the flanker, is on the safety man, and the ball carrier on an open pivot comes across and hits in here. I'd like to reiterate another point here, a coaching point, is that the fullback actually sets up the linebacker for the block of the offensive guard who's pulling to kick him out. He goes right at his outside, making that linebacker believe that he's going to take him in. That opens up that gap a little bit wider, and then he continues the block on the halfback when the guard kicks out. Watch the center block back and the trap action of the left guard. An additional goal line play is one we refer to as the drive play, which goes to the strong side or to the onside, to the strength of the formation, as we look at it to the right. It's particularly good since from this formation, the Brown formation, we have been very successful in running the weak side slant play to the fullback, which breaks out here. The middle linebacker is usually looking for that particular play when we go into a Brown setup, as we have here. Now, this is more or less of a counter play to that, or a play which works in opposition or with it, and it's a strong side play. We like this play because we get an extra blocker in that our fullback, in this case, is the lead blocker. He leads through the hole. He picks off anyone who
comes into that hole. Middle linebacker, outside linebacker, safety man. The first man who crosses his path, he drives. And it is a drive play. The guard drives on a man over him, or the first man to his inside. The offensive tackle, the onside tackle drives the man over him. The YN drives the man over him. The center tries to release through for the middle linebacker if he can. The guard cuts off. The tackle cuts off. It's all solid blocking. The fullback has a particular technique. If we were to run this play in the middle of the field, not in a particular short yardage situation, but at any other time, the fullback's technique is a little bit different than it is in a goal line or in a short yardage situation. For example, in the middle of the field, we ask the fullback on this play to drive for the outside leg of the offensive guard, and he will help the guard if the guard needs help in picking or on the block of the guard against the defensive tackle. If the guard has him, the fullback would lead through the hole to pick the middle linebacker or to help on the middle linebacker. But on the goal line, since these men are penetrating and they're coming in hard, there's a little bit of a different technique. Now the fullback leads for the tackle, to the tackle's position. Now, if the tackle drives his man to the inside, the fullback would lead through the hole to the outside of the tackle and pick the first man who he happens to meet. If the tackle drives the defensive end out, the fullback will come inside to pick the first man. And of course, the ball carrier, the quarterback opens up and gives him the ball just as quick as he can. He doesn't want to wait too late now. The later he waits, the more he will cut off the sight of the halfback. So he's got to get the ball to the halfback, the quarterback to the halfback, just as quick as he can to give that halfback all of the room and all of the visual aid that he will need to see this hole. And of course, he just follows the path of the fullback. If the fullback goes outside, he goes outside with him. If the fullback goes inside, he goes inside with him.
In a goal line situation, the assignments are the same. But because of the gap defense, the fullback keys the block of the tackle rather than the block of the guard. And here he goes inside the block of that right tackle and leads the runner in. The running game. On 3 films now, we have discussed and analyzed individual specific plays. Every coach has his favorites. These have been mine. Remember, every play is designed for a purpose. For that purpose to be fulfilled, every man must do his job on every play. Remember, the success or the failure of any play will determine first the selection and second the success or failure of another play. As we know, in any place, at any time, any play may go all the way. But at the very least, every play is a stepping stone to where we want to go. And we all want to go to the same place, the end zone. That's the running game.